Welcome to Stockdogs Unleashed. Get ready for another episode where we dig deep into ranching life and the world of the working dog.
From the ups and downs of handling cattle to training the perfect stock dog, we're sharing it all.
We'll be telling some crazy stories, offering tips and tricks, and of course throwing in a little bit of humor along the way.
Whether you're working on the ranch or just love hearing about it, there's something here for everyone.
So sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get this episode rolling. Oh, I gotta just get right. I can't see myself. Gotta get my best angle.
Yeah, there you go. Do you have one?
No,
He's got one that's like better than the other one. But
better if I'm walking. Yeah, if I'm leaving. All right. We're joined today by Mike Thompson, great dog man and rodeo guy. Actually, I heard. How's it going, Mike?
Good.
Good. Glad to have you on. Thanks for letting us sneak you into the kennel.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, and you've been on our list for a while. It's just you live too gosh dang far away.
Yeah.
You're in New Mexico, aren't you? Is that
correct?
Right? Yep.
well, and I'm going to point out the fact we invited you 3, 4, 5. It took some arm twisting to get him in here, but we're happy he came in. It's going to be fun.
Very, very much so. How'd you get into dogs, Mike?
I had a little ranch out in west of Roswell, New Mexico, and I'd been day herding sheep and didn't have a dog and needed help. And told a guy I needed a dog, and he told me he'd started one in a round pen, and said he knew his flanks and knew how to stop. And I said, "Is that what I want?" And he said, "Sure." So at 4 o'clock in the morning, I opened the gate, and 3,800 head of sheep ran out, and I'm so proud of my little dog that I had to borrow the money to buy. Couldn't find the dog.
Oh, no.
And it is dark, and I look ahead of where the sheep are, and there's a big dust storm going up there. He's got one by the throat, and that was how I started.
Oh, boy.
You've been hooked up ever since.
Well, I have to say that I don't know much about training a dog. I don't know anybody but Roy Cox, and he's trained all of my dogs, and I'm so tickled for him.
Yeah, we just had him on. He is great, and I love the method and trying to learn. I'm a pretty slow learner, so it's hard to understand.
I'm dumber than a box of rocks.
I'm right there with you. But no, it's really, really good to get out there and get some lessons and learn and stuff like that, which I recommend for anyone to do.
Sure.
So,
I know when I got started, it was literally because of goats.
Mm-hmm.
We used to do the stock show goats, and then we acquired a little bit more land. We got to the point where we were like, well, let's branch out a little bit. And we got up like 60, 70, 80 goats, but they were out all the time. And at that point, my wife would get a grain bucket, shake and run, and me and the kids would chase behind it. And then when we first started, somebody brought dogs over. I was like, don't you bite one of them show goats,
Yeah.
But once I seen, when he's like, let me come and show you. And you want to talk about a game changer. It was like 6 months later. I didn't even need a dog anymore. I just ran out there to them goats and say, come by. And them goats had hit their hole they got out of on 100 miles an hour. But the reason I bring that up, I thought you had a goat feedlot, not a sheep.
I have lambs and goats both.
Oh, do you?
Now.
Do you?
The dog that I started with was a pup from Arthur Allen. And, of course, I never got to meet the guy, but I know that he'd went to a lot of expense to go to Wales and Ireland and different places, and he'd spend 6 to 8 months to find a female and to match up with his male, and that's how the best dogs that I've heard of have gotten here.
Yep.
I had hounds, and I had pits, and I only knew one way to correct a pit, and that was be pretty rough with them.
Yeah.
So back to the story, whenever that first morning, whenever old Chip had one down, I rode outside horses for everybody and tried to make a living doing whatever I could. I was starving to death with the sheep. Didn't have any pasture. Free ranged on everybody. Cut holes in their fences, put gaps in. And I thought, well, the first thing I need to do with this dog is get him where he'll listen. So I had a little roan horse. It was kind of bronky, and I put a rope around that dog's neck, and I slipped a horn knot over my saddle horn, and I hit a lope. And when it come tight, I said, "Here, Chip." And after a few cartwheels, he caught up, and as he passed me going to the front end, I screwed the little roan horse in the ground, and when he hit the end of it, I said, "Down."
There you go.
And at the end of the day, he came and he down.
Yeah.
Well, you've progressed now when you're dog working and training, because I've seen all your dogs are on point and you're working them and doing well in all the trials. You're the man to beat. So
It's a learning experience every time you walk in there. And I've had a lot of trouble with reading cattle. I hate saying that, but I have, because I get so involved watching the dog, I forget about the damn cattle.
Yep.
I thought the cattle were supposed to do what the dog said,
Yeah.
but it's the other way.
Yep.
that's something that catches everyone up, and I'm very, very guilty of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one to learn.
You get to watching them, and it's fun watching the dog. You're like,
Well,
you see that dog stop?
Yeah, I made a mistake yesterday, and the cow was running out the wrong hole. I mean, he broke and run for no damn reason, and it's in a spot where I don't need that to happen. And I have to make a decision which way to send that dog, and I'd already planned on going to the left. And I realized whenever that cow broke, I don't have time. My dog's on the wrong side, so I sent the other way, and she stopped that cow halfway out that hole, and I'm patting myself on the back. I'm thinking, that dog just did awesome. Well, cow run out the other hole.
That's part of the fun of it, isn't it? Well, and I know you go to a lot of dog trials and stuff, but I found out a fun fact about you, that you're a world-class steer tripper in your younger years.
Yeah.
And for Americans, steer tripping is...
Just head the steer, flip it over the hip, and
not everybody's seen it. It's not one that plays on television every time. So go into that. Tell us exactly what steer tripping is. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was 17, lived in Missouri. Me and a couple other boys, we decided we were going to go watch the world's richest calf roping, which was in Oklahoma. And we got us a case of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer and got the Good Time van, and off we went to watch the calf roping. Well, we got there a day late. They had steer roping. I'd never even heard of it. And it was quite interesting. And, of course, the more beer we drank, the more interesting it got. My brother bulldogged, and whenever I got home, I turned the lights on and got my head horse up and tied my nylon rope around my saddle horn and decided I know all there is to know about this trip, and I think I'll just start right now. And I broke every horn off his bulldogging cow.
Because there is an art to not have that happen, isn't it?
Yes, there is.
and you went down the road doing it, though, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah, you
for a long time.
Yeah, because I believe you're being humble, but you made the national finals.
Yeah, I got
times.
really blessed. Made the finals twice. Missed the finals 7 times, between $50 and $500.
Oh wow!
Gosh,
But I could just go to what I could afford, and my wife, she supported me all the way, and we had family we were starting and place we were trying to pay for, and 2 vehicles, and it's the same story for everybody.
Yep. Yeah, it's a tough start to get going, and then these days there's a lot more money in it now.
Gosh,
if you're good enough. I mean, God, they just, it is crazy.
I got to know some of the world champions, and I'd go stay with them 3 days, and I shot horses and did anything it took to get $1.
Yep.
And I had a gentleman there in Clovis, New Mexico, where I was living. Name was Pete Garnett. He tutored me in every way possible. Another gentleman named Cotton Lee. And Cotton Lee was probably one of the most famous old steer ropers. And just a short story about him. They matched him 10 different times against every world champion. He showed up sometimes drunk. His dad would bring him there in his car. He'd ride their horse, didn't even bring his own horse, and still beat him on 10 head.
Oh, man.
That's amazing.
Man.
When I got to know him, he had bone cancer, and he was on crutches, and everything he said was hilarious, and he didn't aim for anything to be funny.
That's funny.
But Cotton, there was a world of stories about Cotton. He was logging his horse at Cheyenne one time on a dead horse they'd killed down the racetrack, and the Humane Society went to trying to catch up with him. And he won the rodeo, and he goes to Pendleton, and at Pendleton, he'd stay in the letter buck room most of the time, and Sonny, I can't remember his last name, but one of his neighbors kept a horse there, and Cotton had rode him a time or two, and he'd go get him out of the letter buck room, and he'd go rope the steer and tie him down, and go right back in the letter buck room.
He'd like to party.
Yeah. Cotton, he could just rope, and he had such a sense of humor that it could just intrigue anybody what he was saying. One time we were going through a stoplight. He had an old International pickup, and there was a chicken standing in the middle of the road in the stoplight. And as we go through the stoplight, he just opens his door and scoops that chicken up, throws him in the seat with it. So my life has been a box of chocolates. I mean, it has been good from the word go. I've enjoyed everything I've done.
That's awesome.
I wouldn't do anything different. I know I could make things a lot simpler if I do them different.
Yeah.
But I did, we nearly got into it in the stands when we were trying to get you over here. We're talking about the wildest adventure you've been on, catching wild cows in Utah. You want to tell us a little about that? Because
Sure.
that sounds like a blast.
A.C. Eckerd had a place in outside of Hanksville, Utah. I never had been on it. Harold Baumgardner, who I thought was the wildest man that ever swung a rope, he tripped steers, he bulldogged, he roped calves. He went to Pendleton one time on a app horse and won the calf roping, and I think he won the steer roping and won the all around. But Harold, he could just rope anything, and he was so talented. And he normally had a wreck of some kind. And he'd cut finger off, and he'd hurt his knee, and the more he wrapped up, the more he won. So I used to accuse him of cutting a finger off before he went to the rodeo. But A.C. Eckerd had, I think it was 400 sections, and all that country was divided by canyon walls, and they were straight down, not straight up. And the first morning, I was out feeding the horses. We had to put morales on them, and there's pickup lights coming down the road for an hour.
What's a morale? Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to know.
Well, it's just a little feed bag slips over their head.
Okay.
You have to keep them away from water, or they'll drown them.
Yep.
But see this pickup lights for over an hour coming down this road, and I'm thinking, they apparently are lost. Well, this guy pulls up, and on the left side of this pickup, it's red and white and pretty four-door Ford dually, and got an old stock trailer behind, and it's slat-sided, and there's no horse in this trailer. And I can tell whenever he got out of the truck, he'd been drinking. This is at 4 a.m. And I'm whipping myself because I'm sure he has forgot his horse. And he says hi, and we shake hands and introduce each other. And he goes to the back of the trailer, and I can tell there's no horse in there. And he's going at it like he's going to unload his horse. He opens the tailgate and goes about halfway in the trailer, and he's reaching for a piece of baling wire tied on the side, but he's doing it at arm's length. And he drags a badger out of there that he's been up there in the road for 45 minutes, and he catches this badger with a piece of baling wire. And he wants to know where Harry is. We've got a little old camp there we're staying in, and I told him he's on the other side of that screen door in the living room there. He goes up there to the screen door and ties this dadgum badger to that damn doorknob. Goes around behind and comes in the back door, grabs 2 skillets. Harry's sound asleep. Bangs them skillets together 2 or 3 times. Him and Harry, they converse a little bit. Harry goes to the door to take a leak and opens that door up, and this badger crawls his leg. So that's how it started.
How old were you when you were doing this?
Pardon?
How old were you roughly when you were doing this?
I was probably 24, 25, and I had never seen nothing like that.
Yeah.
But it just got wilder. I was there 10 days. I think we caught 125 head of wild cattle.
Gosh dang, that's a lot.
We flushed a lot of deer hunters out. We made a few of them mad.
Yep.
Those cattle, we made a corral out of dead cedar trees that we just drug up and made a corral out of. And it was the size of an arena. It was probably 300 or 400 square. And we had bought a bale of hay in town and set that bale of hay out there to keep for the cattle that we caught. They were so wild, they were scared of that bale of hay. They wouldn't even walk to it.
Really?
They were in there 10 days, never took a bite of nothing.
Where at in Utah was you?
Pardon? Hanksville.
Hanksville, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And AC had a plane. And so the second morning, he says, anybody want to go see the ranch? Why, heck, big country, I wanted to see it. We go over and untie this little plane, and he jumps in it, and I get behind him, and there's a shotgun in there, and I think, what the heck's he doing with a shotgun? He takes off, and we're up there, and it's pretty to look at and sailing along. We spot a few cows, and directly he sees a spotted burro over there, and he turns that son of a gun on its side, and he goes to shoot at that burro.
What was it?
A spotted burro.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he hated them things.
Yep. Spotted burro.
So anyhow, and whenever we took off, I asked, his plane was white. And the bottoms of the wing and the bottom of the plane was green. And I said, and it didn't look like it had been painted. And I said, that's a funny paint job on there. And Harold just laughed. Well, he's a-clipping them damn trees.
Oh.
And that was cedar.
Wow.
That plane.
He really hated those burros.
Yeah. But it was so exciting. You can't understand unless you've seen it a half mile straight down. And I'm not talking a slope. It's just straight off. So back to the first morning when we kick out, he had spotted on the way in, he had spotted 2 or 3 cows and a couple yearlings. And I had taken 3 racehorses up there to catch these cows on that had never chased a cow in their life, and they'd been bucking everybody off on the racetrack. And I've got ring snaffles on them, and we had 50-foot ropes. And, of course, he had told me, he says, whatever you do, don't get close to them bulls, so they'll hook your horse before you can get out of the way. So these cows and yearlings, they were in the bottom, and as soon as they spotted us, they were running uphill. And I was within roping range of a white heifer, and AC, he was still been drinking a little bit. He said, there's road at the top, said, don't catch it till you get to the top. So the brush has just beaten me in the face, and of course this racehorse, he's just running. And I can see through the limbs that it's opening up. It's going to get open here in just a minute. So I'm holding my rope down, and I'm zigzagging through the trees, and I'm trying to see the best I can. And that white heifer I was chasing all of a sudden disappeared. Her tail flew straight up, and she went straight down. That was the end of it right there.
Oh.
And I am doing all I can to bend this sorrel horse. And I don't know how close I was to the edge, but it was too close.
Oh, yeah.
And I got him pulled to the left and stopped and hobbled him and got off and crawled over there to the edge, and you could just see little dust puffs of that heifer going down. And so whenever I got up there, AC says, you get her? I said, no, she went over. He said, you let her get away?
Oh, my gosh.
The bug of that.
That's
But
crazy.
it was wild and hilarious.
So the old boy that pulled up with a badger in his thing, what did he end up riding that day?
He had a Palomino 3-year-old turned out in the pasture there that had growed up on that country. Now, the funny part is he sent me out there to catch it. I'd never been in that place. And the left driver's side of that truck was spotless. It was beautiful. And so I pull up out there, and it's on a slope. And I pushed the emergency brake on, didn't turn the truck off, and didn't put it in gear, just pushed the emergency brake on. And I get out with a flake of hay, and I throw it down. This Palomino horse comes trotting up there, and I put a halter on him. And I turn around to head to the trailer, and the damn truck's rolled down the hill.
Oh.
It's hit about 4 trees on the passenger side.
Oh.
And it's caved the headlight in and knocked the fender off. And so anyhow, I'm dreading going back up there. I'd never met this guy before, and I get up there and unload the horse, and all the way there I'm thinking, how am I going to explain that I've just tore this truck all to pieces? And I walked in there, and he said, "You get him caught?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, something I got to tell you. I said, I mashed that emergency brake. I said, the damn truck rolled down the hill and hit a tree. He said, "Son of a gun, I'm telling you, you need to call my wife because she ain't going to believe you beat up my truck." He says, "I've already wrecked it twice."
Just always on the passenger side.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh, shoot.
And well, going back to the dogs a little bit. So you got your first dog and did some serious training with what you knew, and then you've moved. How'd you progress into getting into that and then falling into the trial world? And the dogs that you have are strong dogs.
Some of them are. I have found out that there's different qualities of strong. Some are eye strong, some are power, some have lots of bite. I can't tell you which one's the best, but I know it's a good feeling when you got one that says you're not coming this way.
Yep.
And then it draws a line in the sand. I like that too.
Yeah.
Like Marvin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is cool. But yeah, so how'd you get into the dog trialing? Did you just follow, because I know you're competitive, did you go from roping, steer tripping to trialing, or did you...
I got old.
Yeah, then you just got into it.
I got old and couldn't rope anymore and compete. Wasn't wanting to go sit down and do nothing, and I wanted to do something still to keep me plenty active.
Yep.
I like livestock, and I like dogs. Hell, I used to bring stray dogs home every day whenever I was a kid. My dad kept telling me, he says, "You can't bring every stray dog home."
Well, talking about your dad, he collected teacups. I remember hearing a story. I remember hearing you talk about collecting teacups.
Teacups and toothpick holders.
Okay.
And one day, I don't know, I was 17 and I had everything pretty well knowed up. Nobody was any smarter than me at 17. And I asked my dad, I was sitting there, I said, "Why you got so damn many teacups?" And he said, "You can't just have one."
and then you've grown into a dog collector.
Yeah, exactly.
That is cool. Have you got any? Tell us a little about your dogs. Have you got some young ones coming up that you're excited about?
I've got 2 right now with me here at the fraternity, 2 little females, and they're young. Heck, I don't think they'll be 2 years old until October or November. And I ran them at the fraternity here. I ran them in January at Denver. They did really good until 1,000 people went to hanging off the fence, and they kind of boogered from that. And then I ran them at Vernon, and they did good there. And then here, so this is their 3rd trial.
And they've done well, I think.
Yeah, one of them went second in the fraternity here at Afton. And the other one, I think, finished 5th or maybe 8th. I can't remember.
Really? That's real. And this is the national finals, so it's a pretty good feat to be able to only hit 3 trials and be here and that young.
Yeah.
It's
well, goes back to Roy.
Yep.
I just can't say enough about Roy's training. control the mind and you control the body.
Yep.
But Roy is the most dedicated person that I've ever met in any event. I don't care how dadgum hot it is or how cold it is. He's out working dogs.
Yep.
The most impressive thing I've ever seen from Roy, I've seen him take 3 different dogs that had no desire to work. 0. They could care less if it was a mouse or a jackrabbit or a sheep or a cow. They didn't want to do nothing. And in 60 days, the son of a bucks, you could go use them and gather your pasture. To me, I can understand taking a dog that has a desire and training him, but one that has 0 desire,
It's hard
I
to do.
just cannot imagine how to get that accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah, the communication's got to be so clear
Yes.
how to explain to them.
Well, and not only that, he's showing them something. He's telling them it's fun. He makes them believe it's fun.
Yeah.
Then it's fun. Then he starts working. All right, well, now that you're having fun, it's amazing. that
Yeah.
it's
I've
even
been
doable.
around Roy quite a bit. He'll have 6 or 7 dogs doing kind of show up, and there'll be young dogs and old dogs, and some of them will have the same problems, and he'll do each one of them different. He says, well, they're all individuals. You can't fix them all the same way. And that's been a really hard thing for me to see.
Yep, me too. It is. It's
If
tough.
he
he thinks like a dog. He really does.
That's why he's always running around smelling my butt. That's a joke, Roy. Don't get mad. He does. He's got an instinct with him, though.
He
that
does. He does.
He can communicate. It's insane with him.
Yeah. I had a big trouble of whenever I first knew Roy. I thought if they didn't get it, you just worked them until they got it.
Yep.
And so he kept telling me, you're working your dog too long. And it took a long time for me to figure that out.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty slow thinker.
Me too. I'm with you on that.
So how did you and Roy meet? You're from New Mexico. He's from Oklahoma. How did you guys get?
I went to the fraternity at Vernon. Didn't have a dog. I had a dog, but she was home having pups. She didn't know anything. I'd bought her, and a guy had started her with electric collar, and I knew nothing about her other than she didn't want to stop. And when she took a flank, she was too tight, and when you told her to get out, she didn't understand that. And I didn't own an electric collar, so I didn't know what to do. And I thought, I'm going to go to the Vernon, to the fraternity, and see if I can find a dog. So I go up there, and I'm watching, and by the time the fraternity's over, I'd seen Roy run 3 or 4 dogs, and each dog he ran was different, and one of them was a super strong dog named Tig.
Okay.
And when I left there, I told Roy, I went and introduced myself to him, and I said, I don't have a dog, but I'll be here next year if I have to bring my wife's house dog. I said, but I'm going to come to your clinic, and I want to come to your house, and I need you to show me what to do. And so he had a clinic in outside of Raton, New Mexico. And I went up there to the first one, and I had bought a black Kelpie male dog. And I'd bought him when he was 6 weeks old. He was about 10 months old at the time, and this dog loved me, and I loved him. Roy had his starting pen set up there, and I walked inside, and he says, what's the dog's name? And I told him, and he called him over to him, and he petted him. He said, call your dog. Some bitch wouldn't come back to me. And that's how we started.
Yeah. And then that's a funny thing. I always thought you were a straight border collie guy. That brings up a question. How do you determine breed, type, style of dog that you kind of enjoyed working?
It's trial and error.
Yep.
You know, not many of the Kelpies, I think, are what I want. You got better odds with the border collies. I had an Australian Shepherd whenever I was a kid, and he wasn't much involved in working anything, so I didn't want to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
I had the pits, and they were too involved for what I wanted to do, so I stayed away from those.
Yeah. And just sort of met the middle ground.
Yep.
So you said you had hound dogs and pits. What were you doing? What was
Coon hunting.
Coon hunting. What were the pits for?
Oh, hell, we coyote hunted, too.
There you go. There you go. Hell yeah. I used to do a boatload of coon hunting, but I really, really enjoyed all the coon hunters I knew had hound dogs.
Yep.
And if you got one in a hole, well, you was done. You leashed up and got your dogs going on something else. Well, I always raised Jack Russells with them.
Yep.
And that was when the fun began for me. I'd tie them old hound dogs up and rip them Jack Russells out, and boy, the fight was on.
The first coon I pulled out of a tree, I cut a guy's barbed wire on his fence that we'd come down the coon hunting and straightened the ends up on it where one was right and one was left, and I put a little stick on the end of it. I stuck it in there and twisted a time or two, got it hide hung up in it, and drug him out of that hole. And I'm up there on a limb when I drug him out, and of course that son of a buck didn't want to come out there, and he's plenty pissed whenever he does, and so I didn't do that no more.
Yeah. You know, barbed wire wrapped up in your fur makes you a little pissed off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on the bank of a canal one time, and shoot, and it's where you pull up and turn out, and the canal heads out, and you just start dumping hound dogs and let them go. They'll hit something. And the hound dogs, they kind of meandered off and went down through there, and pretty quick I hear them baying, and they're going, and I'm getting my leashes around my chest and getting ready to go, and I hear a little faint, rah, 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 rah. What the hell? That sounds like Libby. And Libby was a Jack Russell, and we actually bought her for a house dog. And geez, good Lord, she'd freaking come through there running 100 miles an hour, slam on the brakes, take a shit in your living room, and then take off running again. Well, I couldn't potty. That's the only dog I never could potty train her. So I'm like, you're going to be a hunting dog, wench. I'm done with you, you know. So, but she was a hunting fool. But she'd went over and hit a little bit of a scent, went down a hole right there at the truck, and had found a coon while the hounds were gone. And so I just stayed there and waited, and I could hear her down there just a grunting. And you'd hear her take a break, but a lot of times when coon and them are fighting, like, you can hear the coon growling and squalling, and you wasn't hearing a lot of that, but I could just hear her, just you know, pretty quick. I get sight of her butt, and she's just pushing, clawing backwards. She's tugging. And I said, I'll be going, she's got a coon by the ass, but usually I'll turn around and get mad. The closer she got, I get my flashlight in there, and she had that raccoon by his upper nose. So he couldn't do shit but bite down. And he had all 4 feet hanging onto that dang side of that hole, just trying not to come out. She'd take about 3 jerks on him and wait, take a breath, and pull about 3. And she wasn't going to let him go. She finally got close enough. I grabbed her right by the tail, and out they came.
Yeah.
And by that point, the hound dogs had found their way back, and they hadn't hit nothing, and they were ready, you know. But that stuff was always, them whole dogs was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you being in Missouri, I guess that's where you started coon hunting and all that sort of thing. How'd you end up in New Mexico?
Well, Reggie Camarillo married a lady that I knew and lived close to us. And, of course, he was a team roper, and he'd made the finals, and the finals were still in Oklahoma City at the time. And he would come up there and practice 30, 40 days before the finals, and I got to roping with him, and he got me started heeling. And so after about 3 years of that, I'd been wanting to leave Missouri since I was old enough to walk. The humidity killed me, and it was cold in the winter, and my dad was a good dad, and I knew more than he did, and so I was ready to go somewhere else and let the world know how much I knew. So Reggie invited me to Oakdale, and I got my pickup, and I sent a horse with a guy that I'd never seen before, because I didn't have but a 1-horse trailer, and I had 2 horses. So this guy was at the truck stop, and I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to Amarillo." I said, "Hey, they got a team roping there." would you haul a horse for me? And he said, sure. We didn't have cell phones. I didn't know the guy. I don't even know what license plate was on his dadgum truck and trailer. I go home, get my horse, bring him back, load him in his truck. He disappears out the side. I go back, load my other horse, and I take off.
Go meet that old boy in Amarillo.
Yeah. And so I get to Amarillo, and the team roping not started yet, and there's my horse standing over tied to the fence. I never saw the guy ever again after that. I don't know if he went somewhere else or not, but I had 2 horses and a 1-horse trailer again.
No kidding. He delivered it, dropped it off, tied it up.
But I've never made it to California.
Oh, my hell. That's pretty good.
Don't even care about going now.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. I guess you still follow rodeo quite a bit. Your boy's in it. We just seen a good bulldog run of him.
Yeah.
And he's going down the road right now.
Yes, sir.
And doing well. We said won the last 3 of his events.
Yeah, he won first round at Santa Fe. Went to Big Springs, and I think win the rodeo at Big Springs. I don't know that for positive, but I know he'd either win first or second. And then my wife called last night and said he was winning the second round at Santa Fe.
That's awesome. And how have you noticed the rodeo change from back when you were at the finals to now?
It used to be a family thing.
Yep.
Now it's money.
Yep.
It's all money. It was a great place to be. The camaraderie, the people that you met, they were all for everybody. It's more cutthroat now, but there's a lot more money in it now.
Yep.
It's still just as hard to find a good dog and a good horse as it ever was.
Yep. And if you get a good one, they always get hurt, so you could always have 2 good ones.
Sure.
So,
there's some people that have 3 and 4 and 5 good dogs, and your odds are better especially when you're trialing. But not everybody can have that many.
Yep.
And finding them is tough.
Finding them's real tough. Really is.
yeah, there is a lot to get. That's it. Yeah. It's
I'm
going through that
there,
right now.
Yeah, some people out there, it's just like, how do you keep coming up with these things?
Right.
I mean, that's another good dog. That's another one. And that's the sad part about, I don't know if you raise your own dogs or not, but the sad part about raising dogs is some just flat produce, and some that can't produce nothing like themselves.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well, I think the dog I'm sending back with you, he was raised by you. Is that
correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's a lot of dogs. So it's exciting to see how he's gonna go.
I think we bred that male dog to 5 females that spring, and they all had pups at the same time. There was 48 pups at one time, and that's the biggest mess I've ever been in my life.
Yeah. I guarantee it.
My wife threatened me after that.
Yeah.
No more. Yeah, that's all. Well, did you tell you just looking for the good ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fun part of it. But no, he's gonna. Well, tell us a little bit about his dad, because I know you had to change his name. I think, didn't you?
Yeah. That dog's name was Rip. And Roy, they had brought him to Roy, and they'd started him with electric collar, and he was extremely tough. And I don't think he was 2 years old at the time, and they had been using him on roping cattle. And I don't know what the situation was, but he had no problem getting them by the nose, and he hung to them, and he made an episode out of it. And I don't know, for me, whenever a dog bites and hangs on, I panic.
Me too.
Because I don't want the dog to get hurt.
Yep.
I don't want to build fence. I don't want to have to pay for somebody else's cow. So it's a panic situation for me.
Yep.
Roy was working this dog, and the cattle were dog broke cattle, and they wouldn't give a head to a dog that they thought was aggressive. And this dog was so aggressive, he got the head anyway. And he bit this heifer, and she'll weigh 700. And she slings her head, and this dog goes on top of her neck, sitting on her neck with his mouth still holding her nose, and she's bucking across the pen, and I called him PBR right there.
Well, there you go.
Because is he? You still got him? I guess.
No, he wasn't mine.
Oh, it wasn't. Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I seen one of your dogs actually here. I didn't see it, but I just found out one of the guys from Missouri, I think, Gene. I found he has another nice little red and white dog. He's a novice handler. What's his name? That Gene dog that Kevin Lippy was telling us.
That was a dog that Roy trained, a Walker Grace dog that Roy trained.
It was a nice
That
dog.
guy's from Alabama.
Alabama. Okay, that's why
Yeah.
you were off. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, my direction's all the way off. I had to get Chance. He said, "Which side of the arena are you on, the north or the south?" I did I look like a freaking compass?
I'm by the loadout chutes.
Now,
That's north, Travis.
Stuart Mitchell is running one of them out of that 48 pups.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and he had two more that made really nice dogs. Your dog, I know of 5 of those pups that made great dogs. I don't know what's happened to all of them. I haven't kept up with them, but I know 5 of them have made it to trials.
Yep. When you got that many, you got a mess in your hands, and sometimes you're like, okay, we appreciate you can have this one, you can have that one.
Yeah,
you want a nice dog,
you pawn them off.
Yep. Let me know if it turns out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stuart Mitchell's got a female dog named Jill. She's out of Pine and PBR, and Pine is a double-bred Walker Jade, and she's just as fast as Jill. And I use her still. I tore her ACL, so I don't get to use her as much, but she has produced some nice pups.
Yep. I've heard Pine a few times mentioned. Mm-hmm. So she's still kicking around at your house.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Well, heck yeah. How far of a drive is it for you?
Here?
Just here, yeah.
Well, it's 14 hours from my house to Laramie, Wyoming, and I spend the night there. And then it's 7 hours from Laramie to here.
Golly. There's a lot of people driving. Them guys from Missouri and Alabama, they've got a real drive.
Well, Stuart Mitchell's from Alabama, and Mickey, they're both from Alabama, and it's another day for them, and I mean another solid day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, nice thing is I seen Travis up there in the bleachers hooking you up with the podcast. You can have some listening to do on the way home.
Yeah.
We've almost got enough episodes out that you might make it all the way there.
Hey, you dang sure make it 3/4 of the way from Laramie, by the sound. Actually, no, you'd make it. We've got 14 episodes out, I think.
Yep.
Cool.
So you could you'd be able to make it from Laramie, and you'd be sick of here listening to me.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Or
Yeah.
us. So
We'll put you to sleep by that point.
Well, I've drove a lot.
Yep.
I've got to where I can sleep and drive pretty good.
Yep.
hey, which route do you take so I know which way to stay off?
No, the highway has changed so much since I left Missouri. We pay road taxes, and they're supposed to be fixing these highways. And I don't know if they're fixing them or not, but they're still taking taxes.
Yep.
New Mexico, I can tell you they ain't fixing them because
Yeah, when you drop down into New Mexico, you know
Southern
you're in a new
Oklahoma,
world.
I swear they used Mexicans to build that highway too, because it's just as sorry as mine is.
No, that is funny. Well, I got a couple questions. Less chance. You got any?
You're all right.
I got a couple questions I like to ask people before we to finish off the show to put them on the spot. So, 3 people, dead or alive, that you'd like to have dinner with.
I've already ate with them. I can't think of any. I went to Dean Oliver's calf roping clinic, and he was my idol forever.
Yep.
I rodeoed with all the rest of the greats that I know of. I can't think of anyone that I haven't met already.
You haven't already had it.
Wow, that's an amazing life.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
good
really,
living.
I've enjoyed life, every aspect of it.
Yep.
Yep.
That is pretty good. So you mean your wife? That's who you're going to take out for dinner when you get home?
Oh, sure, sure.
She's just the one and only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the backbone of everything I've ever done.
Yep.
I I tell everybody how lucky she is to have me, but I know the truth.
Yeah,
I think she's a saint. I haven't met her yet, but I think she must be a saint.
Yeah, she is.
Yep. All right. If you could go back and having a dog over again, have a chance at a dog, which one would it be and why?
HP.
That red and white one. Yep.
And tell everybody what HP stands for
Well,
and how he got his name.
Roy named him, and he called him Harry Prick.
Yep.
And so that was HP.
Yep. I remember HP. He's pretty. Where's he at nowadays?
He's at my house, and I use him on a daily basis, and I use him working goats and sheep, and he's not as strong as he used to be. He's gotten hurt a good bit, but whenever Roy trained him and I bought him, he was more dog than I knew what to do with.
Yeah.
And he was so correct in his flanks that I thought he was wasting time. And I won a lot with him, and I should have won a lot more. He was a type of dog that you could hurt his feelings by looking at him, but yet he'd walk in on a big bull.
Those are good ones. Yep.
Yeah, it's a hard combination to find where they got a nice soft,
Especially when you're green.
Yep. Really,
Yep.
it is, and that's a tough one that I've been having a hard time finding.
I had a little female right before HP, and while I had HP, and she was the one that the guy had started and I'd bought, and she'd been started with electric collar. She was, you couldn't offend her. You could scold her, you stomp on her, whatever the heck you wanted to, and you couldn't offend her. And I thought all dogs were that way, but they're not.
No.
Nope.
And it's crazy, some of the things, you think like a hard, biting, hard, tough dog that you're going to have to be hard and tough with. And
Right.
some of them are just as soft as a dog that doesn't want to work.
Yep.
Like their minds are so, and I want that combination, but they don't go hand in hand all the time.
It's pretty rare.
People that know dogs, they have to understand why a dog works. It's not only his desire to work, it's bred in him, and that's all he wants to do.
Yep.
And when you go to offending him, he still has a desire, but he has a more desire to please you
Yep.
than he does to work. So a lot of dogs get put back on the back burner and don't become full potential just because of our harshness of our voices.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're all guilty of it.
I think so.
I think everyone.
so. And next thing for me, if the dog doesn't take the command, the first thing I think of, he can't hear me, so I get louder.
Yep.
Well, he didn't hear me again, so now I'm screaming. Well, the dog's going, hey, you're hollering at me. I'll quit doing it because I don't want to be hollered at.
Yep.
It's completely different than what you actually think.
Yeah, I don't want to upset you. I'll stop doing it if you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
A guy,
amazing.
Roy told me one time, says you can take the bite out of them, but you can't put it back in, and that's so true.
Very true. You got to have it at the start.
Yep.
And teach them to control it, which I'm still struggling to do. Obviously, that's why this one's coming with you. It's still hard to do, is to get that on some dogs. It's tough, and a different set of eyes on a dog really helps too. So
Yeah.
and it's nice. But the next question is, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, and if he would listen, what would it be?
Spend more time thinking about it. I'm a reactor.
Yep.
I go off quick.
You're already off cock and you're ready. Well, that's true. I think that there's a lot of people. Everyone's usually guilty of that, just reacting to something if they thought about it. Especially after it happens, you're always like, if I just changed this
Yeah.
one time, I wouldn't have been in this scenario.
Right.
If I'd stopped and thought about it for a minute, maybe I'd have come up with something a little
Yeah,
better than
exactly,
what I did first time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Well, and this is the best one. Let's hear joke and or a quote, or both.
The best quote that I've ever heard was, "What they can do with you, they can do without you." And that works on dogs and horses and people.
Yeah. Yeah, that is that is true.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. What about the joke? You got a side splitter?
You know, I don't. I hear jokes all the time, and I can't remember.
That's the way I am. I can't remember.
I can't. You can tell me one 5 minutes ago, and I wouldn't be able to repeat it back to you if I tried.
I told Travis a joke day before yesterday. I told him that joke that afternoon. The next morning we're on podcast, or right after the podcast, and I was like, "Remind me of that joke I told you. It was funny. I know it was." And he was like, "It was about this." Oh, yeah. I remember it now. It was my joke.
Yeah. I don't remember. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't hold on to him.
My wife, she always has the funniest jokes, and they're the corniest things, and I can remember those.
Which let's hear what is one?
Oh, her most favorite one is, "Where does Poland keep their little army?"
I don't know where.
Up their sleevey.
Little army. See, you do have a
you
joke.
do have a joke.
Who knew?
And you saved me from bringing out
the
a bad
backbone
one.
saved us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time and come visiting with us, Mike. We've been wanting to have you on for a while, and so it's been great having you.
Appreciate y'all inviting me.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. You can catch all our episodes of Stock Dogs Unleashed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Don't miss an episode. Hit that follow button. Without you guys showing your support, we can't keep growing. So join us every week for insights, laughs, and all things ranch life. But seriously, hit that follow button.